A new strike and a fresh escalation in the Iran conflict. The United States has launched a third round of military strikes against Iran after accusing Tehran of attacking a container ship in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Central Command says the vessel identified as GFS Galaxy was hit while transiting the strategic waterway. According to CENTCOM, the ship caught fire, suffered damage, and one civilian crew member remains missing. The U.S. has accused IRGC of a blatant attack on a commercial vessel and says Tehran has violated the terms of the peace deal. All right, there's some breaking news coming in at the moment from Iran. The latest wave of U.S. military strikes is now expanding beyond the Strait of Hormuz region. Iran media reports that a communications tower in Kerman province has been hit in an American strike. According to local officials quoted by Iran's ISNA news agency, at least 2 people have been injured and airlifted to hospital. There are also reports of a military facility in Yasuj being struck. Earlier, the Central Command has confirmed American forces targeted 140 Iranian military sites after Iran's Revolutionary Guard declared the Strait of Hormuz closed until further notice. The situation, of course, remains extremely volatile. There are fresh strikes and counter threats continuing across southern Iran. Let's quickly go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who is joining us. Srinjoy, the fighting once again breaking out in the Middle East, and this is, of course, not very good news for India, which was hoping that the fuel supply chains and lines, and also the large number of Indians who live and work in the Middle East, now this is once again a threat for all of them.
There are 9 million Indians in the Gulf area, and they send enormous amounts of remittances every year. That apart, there are others there as well, and shippies who are still stuck there because 9 ships are still stuck in the Gulf. More importantly comes the question, what happened to the peace process? What happened to the MOU that the Pakistani leadership was trying to push? Where is Pakistan just now? Where is Shehbaz Sharif and Asif Munir? Don't they have anything to say, since they are the ones who are responsible for the peace process, and very clearly it has broken down. Now this attack and counterattack is going to have huge negative repercussions on the world. India, of course, but also on Japan, China, South Korea, countries like that, which are importers of energy, and also suppliers of energy like Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. All these countries will be affected severely.
Srinjoy, also any word coming in fact, what is the statements coming in from Iran? Iran, of course, has come out to say that they will continue to strike in all of these neighboring countries, surrounding Iran. We have seen them attack various U.S. bases as well in the past, but it wasn't just U.S. bases. There were U.S. companies and several other targets also that ended up getting hit, causing huge amount of damage to property and, of course, civilian lives.
It's just started. So far, military targets have been hit. We don't know what's going to happen after this, because if Donald Trump says 1,000 missiles are ready to be launched, it means that Iranian infrastructure could be targeted. If Iranian infrastructure is targeted, it could mean lots of things: roads, highways, bridges, oil wells, pipelines, and so on. And then Iran could do exactly the same with Gulf countries. So then Iranian missiles and drones could hit, let's say, a Gulf country oil well. It could hit a refinery, as actually 2 have been in the past. It could hit a desalination plant. This would affect the entire region, and it could mean terrible consequences for people in the area and also for the world.
Srinjoy, stay with us. Let's quickly also give our viewers a sense of what really is happening as far as the areas that have been struck in the course of this entire conflict. There is, of course, let's quickly bring that up on the screen over here, what we are seeing, of course, in terms of the conflict over there. On ground, a number of strikes that are taking place, and these are the prominent targets that we've seen. Bandar Abbas, Sirik, Jask. This, of course, at the beginning of the Strait of Hormuz, closer to the Gulf of Oman, and further into the Persian Gulf. Over here, you see a large number of targets, whether it's Masher, Abadan, Hendijan, as well as Bushehr. There's also, of course, Kangan here, Asaluye, as well as all of these important areas that are on the coast of Iran, strategically very important, and US very clearly trying to take out all of these areas. So how much of this will impact really on Iran and its ability to strike on its neighbors? That is a very, very important aspect of this as well. Clearly, of course, Iran in the past has used a mosaic defense system which allows it or gives independent control to various regional leaders of its military, of its defense forces. So in this instance, with the IRGC announcing the closure as far as the Gulf of Hormuz is concerned, what's the impact this will have? Let's also tell our viewers, following this incident, CENTCOM has announced a new wave of strikes on Iranian targets. The US military says 140 Iranian targets were hit in the latest operation, including missile and drone sites, naval facilities, and communication networks. The US says that more than 300 targets have been struck in recent operations aimed at deterring further attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. So that's the latest update coming in from Iran as well. That's the latest announcement coming in. Let's quickly, in fact, bring in my colleague Srinjoy, who's also with us. Srinjoy, what is really the meaning of this? In terms of the ability of United States. They have, of course, been engaged in a conflict for about 50 days in the past. Now that they are going into this conflict again, what really are the targets, and is there any change as far as the strategy of United States is concerned?
The idea is to hit military targets. They hit military targets during the 40 days of fighting. They are continuing to hit military targets. The question is, after a point, there are only finite military targets, and there are some military targets which are harder to hit. Well, number one, they are buried deep inside some of the hills where, let's say, the drones are kept, the missiles are kept. So if you can't hit them, what are you going to hit? Are you going to hit infrastructure targets? If you're going to hit Iranian infrastructure targets, the Iranians will do the same in Israel, in the Gulf, and so on. Let's not forget that the Iranians hit Dimona. Dimona is the Israel nuclear facility. The Israelis and the Americans have hit nuclear facilities in these areas. Fortunately, there has been no radiation at all so far. We don't know where that will lead to. So at this point, the Americans say, the Central Command says they have a list of targets. Now, those targets extend to military facilities. But what if there are other targets? What if there are infrastructure targets? What if there are targets close to, let's say, Tehran? Because Iran is a big country. In terms of size, it's a huge country. It has a huge population, 95 million people. Now, where all these missiles are, where all these drones are, is hard to work out, because there are so many places where they have excavated mountains, they have excavated hills, and built tunnels inside where they have kept their missiles and their drones.
Absolutely.
So they can use these missiles and drones independently, get them out, and hit the targets they want to. There are enough targets in the Gulf region, enough American targets, and also of the American allies. So if that is so, that is a worry. The other thing is the Strait of Hormuz. Now, you have bombed a lot of targets along the Iranian southern coast. Very good. But what does it take to hit one big tanker going through the Strait of Hormuz?
That's a very key point. In fact, Srinjoy, stay with us, because we're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has announced that this strategic waterway has been closed once again. No ships will be allowed to pass until further notice. Now, this announcement comes after Iran has accused an unauthorized vessel of taking an illegal route through the strait. Tehran claims it fired a warning shot at the vessel before the closure was announced. Now, the status of this key shipping route has remained uncertain in the last few days, with repeated reports of the waterway being reopened, partially opened, and then shut again. Meanwhile, a new claim from Iran's IRGC. The IRGC says it has struck and stopped a second offending vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. This force has also warned that the continued US-Israel actions would invite what it called even more devastating responses. So that's the statement coming in from Iran as well. We also have India's reaction coming in. All right, there's a Ministry of External Affairs which has strongly condemned the attack on commercial vessel GFS Galaxy off the coast of Oman. The Ministry of External Affairs says 10 of the 11 Indian nationals on board have been rescued, while one Indian remains missing. The Indian embassy in Oman is closely coordinating with Omani authorities in the ongoing search and rescue operation. The Ministry of External Affairs has also called for immediate de-escalation of regional tensions, urging a diplomatic solution and restoration of safe and unimpeded navigation through international waterways. All right, we have Mr. Arasan Singh joining us. He's, of course, an expert in matters relating to security. Mr. Arasan Singh, what do you make of this? Of course, a huge amount of concern, large number of Indians present in the Gulf and large number of Indian sailors as well. EMEA, of course, issuing this statement, but this is going to cause a considerable amount of worry for India, given the developments of the last few days.
Who are these sailors? These sailors are, innocent people, innocent sailors. They are there on commercial ships, which are unarmed and seeking innocent, passage. Now, if you target them, then this is an act of. It is not a war. It's an act of maritime terrorism. And I think we should join the world community in fighting this, maritime terrorism. Earlier, we let it go when the Red Sea was disrupted by the same people. And do you know India lost $30 billion because of that disruption of Red Sea by this same Iranian, this mad Iranian regime. And now you say the Hormuz, which belongs to everybody. It belongs to you, everybody. It belongs to the world community. And now, if you say that you are, belligerent, USA is your enemy, you go and fight the USA by all means. But why are you terrorizing the world? For God's sake. Why are you targeting our, ships bringing oil and natural LNG to India? And therefore, through your channel, I would suggest that India must ensure that Strait of Hormuz is open by itself, or if not by itself, by a suitable alliance of countries. We can't afford to suffer. It is reaching your and my kitchen.
Absolutely.
Your petrol pumps.
The costs, of course, expected to spiral, while India has, of course, managed to keep fuel prices low to a large extent. Will that be possible if there is continued fighting and threats of oil supplies and oil depots being hit for years to come? That's the kind of threat that we are looking at. But let's quickly, in fact, thank you, Mr. Arasan, for joining us. Let me quickly also take you through what really has been stated by India as far as this attack is concerned, as far as the response of India is concerned. India has come out to say that they condemn the attack on GFS Galaxy, as we were telling you a short while earlier. Let's bring in the next set of statements coming in. 10 of the 11 Indian nationals have been rescued. So 10 of the 11 have been rescued. Only one Indian national who's reportedly missing at this point of time. Huge amount of worry over here for this individual as well. So this is, of course, the statement coming in from India as far as the developments that are concerned. The Indian embassy is closely monitoring the situation is the next statement that has come in as well, coordinating with Omani authorities and at the same time saying that the attacks on ships are deeply worrisome. We also call for immediate de-escalation, targeting of ships, civilian infrastructure must end. This targeting must end. And also India has said that the call for free navigation and trade routes is what has been called for. So that's something that, in fact, India has reiterated, that there should be, of course, a dialogue, diplomacy, and a diplomatic solution must be found out, not the use of force. We're going to slip into a quick break. More news and updates coming up in just a moment.